The silent aftermath. It was a sweltering afternoon in the suburban sprawl of New Haven, Connecticut. Officer Mark Taggart felt the heat clinging to his polyester uniform, a familiar discomfort that soured his mood. He'd been on the force for 5 years, and the job had begun to feel less like a calling and more like a monotonous grind of traffic stops and domestic disputes. Today, however, something felt different. A sleek, dark gray Genesis G90 with out-of-state plates caught his eye. It moved with an almost unsettling grace, merging onto Route 10 without a turn signal. A minor infraction, yet one that Taggart's gut told him to pursue. He flicked on his lights, a small act of authority that always provided a momentary rush. The Genesis pulled over smoothly. As Taggart approached, his hand instinctively hovered near his holster. The driver, a black man in his late 40s, was impeccably dressed in a crisp white shirt and a dark blazer. His hands were visible on the steering wheel, his posture relaxed but alert. "Afternoon, officer," the man said, his voice a calm baritone. "Is there a problem?" "You failed to signal on the merge back there," Taggart replied, his tone clipped. "License and registration." The man moved with deliberate precision, every gesture slow and controlled. He handed over the documents without a word. The name on the license was Elijah Vance. Taggart took the papers and returned to his cruiser, a flicker of irritation growing inside him. He ran the plates, a routine check that confirmed the car wasn't stolen. But he couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. Why was this man here, in this upscale neighborhood, driving this kind of car? He got out of his cruiser again, walking back to the car with a renewed sense of purpose. "Where are you headed?" he asked. Vance met his gaze directly. "Just left a meeting at the New Haven Innovation Hub. Heading back to my hotel." "Military?" Taggart probed. "No." "Then what were you doing on a secure campus?" Vance paused. "Work." Taggart's jaw tightened. "What kind of work?" "I prefer not to discuss that," Vance replied evenly. A short, derisive laugh escaped Taggart. "Right. And I prefer for you to step out of the vehicle." It was then that the dynamic shifted. Vance reached slowly into his jacket pocket and pulled out a black leather wallet. He flipped it open, revealing a genuine badge and ID. Federal Bureau of Investigation. Special Agent Elijah Vance. Most officers would have apologized and let the matter drop. But Taggart's ego was a more formidable adversary than any armed suspect. He squinted at the ID, a half-second pause that would haunt him for the rest of his life. "Huh, and that's supposed to mean something?" Vance didn't react with anger or surprise. His face hardened slightly, the calm replaced by a quiet, steely resolve. "I'll be making phone call now," he said, pulling out his phone. "Go ahead," Taggart sneered. "You think I care who you call?" Vance ignored him, hitting a single contact with no hesitation. "Hey, it's me." "Yes, right now. I'm at the intersection of Prospect and Maple." "Send them." He hung up and rolled his window halfway up. No shouting, no insults. Just one quiet, 3-sentence phone call that set in motion a chain of events far beyond Taggart's control. Taggart paced aside his cruiser, a knot of resentment tightening in his gut. The smug certainty of this man was infuriating. He tried to regain control, but Vance simply sat in his car, unbothered, as if waiting for a taxi. "Are you refusing to make this easier for me?" Taggart demanded. "I'm refusing to make it easier for you to abuse protocol," Vance replied, his tone like tempered glass. That's when Taggart heard the low rumble of engines behind him. 2 black, unmarked SUVs, their windows tinted, pulled up and parked behind his cruiser. 2 men in dark suits emerged from the first vehicle. They moved with silent, professional coordination that immediately seized control of the scene. "You Taggart?" one of them asked, his voice flat. "Who are you?" Taggart shot back. The man didn't answer. He simply looked at the Genesis, then back at Taggart. "You pulled him over." "Yeah, improper lane change," Taggart insisted, his voice faltering. "Has Agent Vance been arrested?" a second man asked. "No, I was just verifying." "Is he suspected of crime?" The question hung in the air, unanswered. Before Taggart could stammer out another excuse, a third vehicle, a dark sedan with government plates, pulled up, out stepped a woman in a navy blazer, her demeanor all business. She had an ID ready in her hand. Special Agent Fiona Clark. She said, Department of Justice. She walked past Taggart, as if he were a piece of furniture, and went straight to Vance. Agent Vance, she said, extending a hand. Are you all right? I'm fine, Vance replied, stepping out of the car. No damage. Clark turned to Taggart, her expression a mix of exhaustion and irritation. This man holds top-secret clearance. He was briefed this morning on 2 ongoing national security operations. This stop should have lasted 90 seconds. It has now entered minute 26. Taggart's heart sank. He felt a cold wave of shame wash over him. I was just doing my job, he mumbled. No! Vance finally spoke, his voice calm but sharp as a razor. You were doing what you thought your job was. You let bias guide your instinct instead of reason. Taggart turned red, but said nothing. He watched as a patrol sergeant he recognized, a man named Leo Bransford, arrived and gestured for him to come over. Officer Taggart. Bransford said quietly, Come with me. Vance didn't look smug. He didn't look pleased. He looked disappointed. The incident went viral. The raw footage from Taggart's body camera was leaked, not by Vance or his team, but from within the New Haven PD. The clip that garnered the most attention was the moment Taggart had said, And that's supposed to mean something? The caption that went with the clip was simple. He didn't think it did, but it did. The story exploded. It was on every news channel, every podcast, and every social media feed. Taggart, once an anonymous beat cop, became a symbol of a deeper problem. The Department of Justice issued a careful statement, placing Taggart on paid administrative leave pending a full internal review. Meanwhile, Agent Vance remained silent. He didn't do interviews, didn't write op-eds, and didn't post on social media. His refusal to engage with the public spectacle only amplified the power of what they had already seen. His quiet dignity spoke louder than any angry outcry. At his small, quiet apartment, Taggart sat alone, watching his life unravel on the screen. His name was a hashtag, his face a meme. He read the comments, the insults, and furious condemnations. But the words that hurt the most came from an old academy classmate. This didn't have to happen, Mark. You could have just respected the man. That sentence replayed in his mind. He knew it was true. He had felt the instinct to de-escalate, but his pride had overruled it. He had chosen ego over professionalism, and now the entire country had watched him make that mistake. 2 weeks later, the media storm had moved on to other headlines. But in New Haven, the conversation was just beginning. The police chief ordered mandatory department-wide training on de-escalation and federal protocol. At a local community center, a town hall was held, where residents spoke not of anger, but of quiet, weary familiarity. It's not just about that officer, one woman said softly. It's about the feeling that you could have a PhD and a federal badge, and still be asked if you belong here. The feeling lingered. One quiet Thursday afternoon. Taggart was in a grocery store, trying to be invisible. He wore a baseball cap and sunglasses, his cart half empty. He turned down an aisle and stopped cold. There was Agent Vance, in civilian clothes, reaching for a carton of almond milk. Part of Taggart wanted to flee, but a smaller, braver part of him pushed him forward. Agent Vance, he said quietly. Vance turned, his hand still on the door. He didn't flinch. Officer Taggart, he responded, his voice as calm as it had been 2 weeks ago. Taggart took a breath. I owe you an apology. I was wrong. I let my assumptions take over, and I didn't respect you. You didn't just assume, Vance replied. You acted like your uniform excused the assumption. Taggart nodded, a slow, heavy nod of acceptance. I know. Then, for the first time, Vance looked at him, not as a symbol or a threat, but as a man. Do better, he said simply. Next time, whoever it is. With that, Vance grabbed his almond milk and walked toward the checkout. There were no handshakes, no forgiveness, just a moment of quiet, brutal truth. Later that night, Taggart sat at his kitchen table and wrote in a notebook. Real power doesn't need to shout to be heard. Vance, meanwhile, was packing his bags. His assignment in New Haven was over, but he left behind a new reality for the town, a quiet reminder that sometimes real change doesn't come from lawsuits or public outrage, but from one person refusing to meet ignorance with rage. He had become a mirror, and the town was finally looking into it. And for Mark Taggart, that reflection was a permanent pause in the middle of his life, a moment that would forever be a part of the story.